As Minister for Defence, when were you first made aware of what was going on?
Monday morning at about 8 o'clock, around that time, the Chief of Staff, Sean Clancy, would have contacted me to say that there was an operation underway, and that news in relation to it could break at any stage following that. But and that was the first, and then he would have given me regular updates until yesterday morning, when he sought authority from me and to deploy the strategic asset we have in the Army Rangers to board the vessel, the mothership vessel, with a view to preventing it from going into international waters. And so obviously, in line with the recommendation from the Chief of Staff, I would have given that authorization. I think it's important to say that this was part of a pan-European collective intelligence operation, and it underlines the importance of cooperation on an ongoing basis, both internationally and indeed domestically, because domestically what you're witnessing here, both within the military, the Joint Defence Forces, the Air Corps, the Naval Services and the Army Rangers, all working seamlessly together. And then beyond that, of course, the Garda Síochána, the Customs Service, coordinating with our defence forces. And that is the optimal way to deal with drug trafficking, to deal with counter-terrorism, and to deal with other challenges that the state faces. And if anything, the real lesson to learn from this is the absolute importance of that cooperation, that multi-agency approach to dealing with issues and challenges that wreak such havoc on our society as drugs do.
Absolutely, but it's only a month since you yourself have said that you're extremely worried about the fact that we were down operationally to 2 naval vessels because of manpower issues in our Navy. We can clearly see how important they were in this operation yesterday. What is going to happen with our armed forces if they are so important to our security, even in terms of fighting crimes and fighting drug cartels? Where do we go from here?
Well, we're investing very significantly in equipment and infrastructure within our army. Key assets yesterday would have been the PC-12, the CASAs, the aircraft also, which has very modern photographic capacity now. We took a C-295, purchased that recently. There's a further one coming. So we're significantly increasing and improving and modernising our equipment, our ships, and indeed our aircraft. And in terms of maritime surveillance, aircraft are key. And in terms of the equipment is absolutely key. And there's a programme of investment that's earmarked that will continue, and that is unprecedented in terms of investment in both infrastructure and equipment. And that will continue in line with advices from our military leadership and working with the Department of Defence and working with government as a whole.
But if we don't have enough personnel to sail these ships, and we have hundreds of kilometres of coastline to patrol, surely we are vulnerable to being exploited by those trying to smuggle drugs into the jurisdiction.
Yeah, but I think yesterday was a very successful operation. So let's not ignore it. You know, there's a tendency when we do have a successful operation like this that we almost immediately must turn to negative it, sort of make it a negative story. I accept the challenges. We're very well aware of the recruitment challenges and the retention challenges within our defence forces. But yesterday spoke very well in terms of the aircraft, the air surveillance that we had in place, the quality of the newer aircraft that we've purchased, the bravery and the training of our personnel that we have. And we have improved rates of pay and conditions in terms of new recruits into the Army, into the Navy and into the Air Corps. Only recently we brought in private secondary care for all enlisted personnel within our defence forces, which is a very significant step forward. That has been introduced on top of improvements in terms of allowances and so on. We're currently looking at further measures. One of the challenges we have with the Navy is we're in full employment. The Navy is located in Ringaskiddy. There are huge challenges where you will meet highly trained personnel are being incentivised out by bigger companies with significant resources to poach our personnel. That is a reality that we are grappling with right now. But we're flat out in terms of newer recruitment approaches. And I've asked for a radical look in terms of how we recruit more and more younger people into our defence forces for a career that can be very rewarding and that can be one of high quality. And we're bringing in the working time directive as well. So there's a lot going on. But in addition to that, I think we have to acknowledge the very high standards and professionalism of our defence forces, which was on display yesterday and over the last number of days at all levels, from the Air Corps. I mean, the working of that helicopter yesterday, the precision work by the pilots in very, very difficult conditions in the context of people who wanted to evade capture. And that was very difficult manoeuvring by our pilots, and also then in the context of the Army Rangers themselves going on board the ship. So I commend their bravery. We thank them for their commitment and for their work. We will work at governmental level to continue to invest in equipment, to invest in infrastructure, and to invest in personnel within our defence forces.
Those things are important, Tánaiste, but can I ask you just one question before we move on? With regard to what happened off the coast of Wexford and the coast of Cork in the last 2 days, the Wexford trawler ran aground, and the Cork container vessel had put out emergency calls saying that there was somebody injured and saying that their engines then had ceased. If they hadn't gotten into difficulty, would we still have had these seizures?
Yes.
So it wasn't down to accidental
This was, as I said earlier, a pan-European collective security endeavour, where the mothership in particular would have been under surveillance for quite some time. And we work with colleagues across the world, across Europe in particular, in the Maritime Analysis and Operations Centre. And it's a collective exercise, and it's about intelligence, and that is the key globally. No country is an island on its own in respect of security or intelligence cooperation. So it's very, very important. And I'm a very strong advocate for stronger and stronger European cooperation on counter-terrorism, on counter-drug trafficking, and in terms of interoperability and sharing intelligence. That's absolutely key across the board. And that was in evidence, in abundance, in respect of this particular operation, which was underway for quite some time.